Trofeo Pirelli Race 1 about to get underway here at the Sebring International Raceway. Alongside me is Greg Creamer, and if it's anything like the Copa race we saw earlier on this afternoon, this is going to be brilliant.
I think so, Dave Richardson. It's going to be absolutely fabulous. And again, these are the Trofeo Pirelli drivers, so a little bit more experience, a little bit faster. Certainly, and then you've got the Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers that are mixed in, some of them showing very well in qualifying, a couple of them qualifying up into the top 10 overall. So you're absolutely right. I think this is going to be, in both the figurative and literal terms, a scorcher of a race here. Temperatures very warm, track very slippery, and as different a venue as you can get from Austin and Circuit of the Americas.
I think I've learned that already. Yes, we're here in Sebring with Laguna Seca, Montreal, Indianapolis, Homestead, Miami, and of course the World Finals to come in Tuscany, in Mugello, with the Finale Mondiale the end of October. A lot of racing to come between now and then. This is an extraordinary circuit here, 6.020 kilometers, some 17 turns, 5 left, 12 right, and I've written in my notes a mix of concrete and asphalt. That's really rather underwhelming in comparison to how different it is. Yeah,
it is about as different as it gets. Every corner. In fact, there are times where you will go across pavement changes, 3-4 of them in the course of a corner or two, and as it gets hot like it is right now, it changes dramatically as the dark parts of the track soak up the heat, the reflective concrete not so much, and then you get the tire rubber down, and as we talked about it, what happens, you get a lot of tire rubber down, even if it's great Pirelli rubber, the oil starts to bake out when it gets really hot, and it gets a little slippery, and that means this big field is going to be chasing this track.
So there we have it then, and there you can see the weather conditions, 30 degrees, going to be hot in those cars. To find out more for us, delighted that Shea Adam is down there for us in the pit lane.
Well, guys, that is the theme of this race. Dave Musial's car says it perfect. It's hot. Everybody is hot down here on the pit lane. Get your AC fixed. Yeah, I wish we all had some AC down here because it is very, very warm. And Dave Musial will be starting a little bit further back in the field than perhaps he wanted to. But the good news is he's got a great view of the cars ahead of him to come forward, including the beautiful, almost a purpley blue color on Ross West's number 25 Ferrari. Ross is a guy who's looking for a really good result here this weekend because he's raced at Sebring already this year in prototype cars. He's raced here before in other brands, but he has never driven a Ferrari in a race. So this is going to be a great experience for him. And you know what happens in the springtime? Canadians come down to Florida. Well, we found that with Mark Muzo. He is going to be starting in the number 13 car back on row number 7. So he's got a little bit of forward motion to do, but the bright blue car, it should be very easy to see. And another Canadian who followed him down is the car that he'll be following to the green flag. That's Barry Zeckelman, car number 99 in the pro class. And Barry, very amped up today, sitting at lunch. He was practically bouncing off the table. Well, another guy who was actually bouncing is the number 28, the silver and black Ferrari of Joe Rubo. He was doing push-ups before the qualifying session, and I don't mean delicate little push-ups. He was throwing himself up off the ground and back at it. That's how he gets himself pumped up for the race. And he's going to have a little bit of work, too, because we're still only on row 4. We've got Chris Carell back again this weekend in the Fast Toys car. That's based out of Los Angeles. A little bit warmer than he's used to down here in Florida, but his first start of the season in a race car. We've got Ziad Gandauer in the car right next to him. Z-Dog, as he is affectionately known, a rally driver, but got a win at Circuit of the Americas in that number 24, so he's going to be somebody to keep an eye on. We've got another newcomer in Joel Weinberger in the car number 6, being coached by local boy, well, at least local now, Ryan Dial, so that's going to be a fun car to keep an eye on over the course of the weekend. Brent Holden was somebody who was extremely strong in qualifying, and his car looks like a fighter jet. Why is that relevant? Well, because we're here at Sebring International Raceway, and Hendricks Field is a place where the bombers go quickly. Moving up to row number 3 now, we've got Neil Kahani, the pole sitter for the AM class. He's got the Concours Club written on the side of his car because he's doing work down in Miami, would love nothing more than to put on a show for the hometown crowd. But alongside him, it's going to be a little bit of work because Amir Kermani in that bright yellow Ferrari is also looking for his first podium of the season. Row 2 is where things start to get really interesting. Thomas Tipple, the man who lit the Ferrari Challenge paddock on fire last year, coming in for his first ever season of racing in Copa Shell. Well, now he's up here with the big boys. Trofeo Pirelli in the pro category. He's got the number 1 on the side of the car. He's looking for it on the top of the timing screens. It'll be Martin Burrows in car number 46, another one of those Canadians coming down here for spring break. He got third in both of the races at Circuit of the Americas. Mr. Consistency is hoping that the two cars ahead of him clear the way so he can lead. Well, who are the two cars ahead of him? The usual players. We've got Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Ethis. But here's the twist. Cooper is not on pole. It was Benjamin Ethis who came through with a brilliant lap in qualifying to claim away the honors. Who's going to be leading into turn one, though? Well, Cooper has raced here at Sebring many times before. He knows how to get it done. For the young Chilean driver, well, it's going to be a learning experience. The engines have fired. We are ready to go racing.
Wow. Yeah, going into turn one. Thanks, Shay. Is going to be very interesting indeed. But do you know what? When speaking to Benjamin Ethis earlier on at lunch, in fact, he wasn't at all fazed by the fact that Cooper McNeil has loads of experience here at Sebring. He's put it on pole position.
Well, he did, and I mean, it was a great qualifying duel. Remember, Cooper went out, set a time early, parked, and said, if anybody can go after, go for it, and Ethis took the challenge up.
Yes.
Cooper went back out and couldn't quite get underneath that time. And the interesting thing here, you can make a pass around the outside of turn one if the guy you're passing gives you that bit of racing room, but it's really sketchy because if you get it wrong, that wall awaits on the outside. There's a little bit of runoff, but not enough to really be able to do much. So that just comes down to just how much bravado are you going to be willing to throw and how much trust you have on the guy that you're trying to ramp the outside. It might be better to tuck in behind, and Cooper certainly knows this venue. He's done a lot more racing here on this track than he does. It's a matter of, okay, do I tuck into second and try and use my experience, or do I go after this young guy and give him the psychological beating early?
My view is he'll go at it early.
That's Cooper's nature. Yeah.
Martin Burrows and Thomas Tipple will be hoping they fight. Here is the grid. Benjamin Ethis, Cooper McNeil, front row. Then it is Martin Burrows and Thomas Tipple. Then Neil Kahani and Amin Kahani then going from the third row of the grid. Ahead of Brent Holden and Joel Weinberger, Chris Carell, then Ziad Gandor, Joseph Rubo, Barry Zeckelman. They complete row 6 of the grid with Ross Twest, then Mark Musso, Dave Musial, Ted Marici and John Maygrew. That goes from row 9 of the grid.
And I think it's pertinent to point out that fifth in the overall order is your pole sitter in the Trofeo Pirelli AM category, Neil Kahani, in the number 36 for Continental Auto Sports. That is a great qualifying run for one of the AM drivers. And once again, you get these AM drivers mixing it up here. And seventh, right there in that second silver car, is Holden, second on the grid in the AM class, 7th overall. Those guys, they are in their own race. And it's a matter of again, they've got to play the dice roll a little bit. How much do I get caught up in the overall battle? How much do I worry just about where I am in class? And sometimes it gets handled for you. So it's going to be fun to see how this one unfolds for sure. And this is a track that we know is greasy right now.
So Neil Kahani can be added to that list of Thomas Tipple and Martin Burrows then, who will be hoping that Benjamin Ethis and Cooper McNeil go for it right from the ferry off, of course, because it could potentially play into their hands. But only time will tell, and not much time to wait because the cars are out on their formation lap as we speak at the moment. Some 17 cars, the mix of Trofeo Pirelli Pro drivers and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers out there in the sunshine here at Sebring. The temperature's so hot. It's going to be, as you said earlier on, it's like a convection oven in that 488 car.
Well, and something just occurred to me here. We're talking about the experience of Cooper McNeil. Remember what our winner in the Copa Shell race said? He said, the track was so different and so much slippier than it was in the morning. I had, in the first couple of corners, I made a couple mistakes, and I had to start to back up my braking zones a little bit. Cooper has driven a lot of races here and has gone through morning starts, racing in the afternoon when it's hot, cool in the evening. I wonder if he might try and hound Ethis a little bit and get him to overshoot a corner because he's just not there. I mean, that's part of the experience. That's part of the racecraft.
And that's a very good point as well, because Cooper McNeil is able to use that experience to his advantage. And, well, let's see if he does that. We haven't got long to wait to find that out, have we?
No.
The cars all lined up behind the Hublot safety car then. And Benjamin Ethis, I have to say, during that driver's briefing that you and I were in, he was full of confidence, wasn't he? He was delighted with what he'd done and didn't feel that it was anything extraordinary. And in fairness, felt that he'd made an error in one part and felt that there was another tenth of time to come in that car.
He absolutely did. Yep. And well earned. I mean, it was a tremendous lap. We caught it about a third of the way through the lap, and were able to follow it the whole way. And it was just brilliant. I mean, his precision, his aggressiveness without overstepping the line. That was pretty impressive. And it's going to be interesting, too, here with this hot temperature and the track greasy when the cars slide a lot. Aggression can be a real factor when it comes to tire degradation. These, the Pirelli P1s on these cars are phenomenal. But any tire, if you overdrive it, you can abuse it a little bit. And if you get the surface hot, you just lose grip in a hurry. And when the car starts sliding on a greasy track, that's what can happen. Again, that's where experience comes in. Well, we're about to find out. 30 minutes.
Looking forward to this. This is the Trofeo Pirelli race from the Ferrari Challenge North America. There is the Hublot safety car making its way back to the pit lane. It's down to Benjamin Hites and Cooper McNeil then, who lead these cars around. And once we go green, we are away and racing and into that turn number 1, which is a real funnel. It's very wide going in, but it's not quite so wide coming out. So who will have the lead going into the first sequence of turns? Already cars making moves now. Thomas Tipple is one of those. Look at this on the outside of Cooper McNeil. Potentially Benjamin Hites there. Thomas Tipple not able to get quite close enough, but the big beneficiary here could be Martin Burrows.
Oh, and he's up. He might be going for the lead.
Whoa, look at this.
Fantastic move. You could see that Hites and McNeil were worried about each other. The door opened and Burrows just slipped through. That was fabulous.
It was. Big loser is Thomas Tipple, but that was extraordinary from Martin Burrows, who, as we predicted, was Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Hites were worrying about themselves. Well, Martin Burrows was just able to take advantage of that and puts himself in the lead of the race and relegates Benjamin Hites to P2 and Cooper McNeil down to P3, but we've still got a lot of racing to come yet.
Oh, and Hites just left with his left front tire, a big black streak exiting the hairpin. He is going to be pushing hard right away. Notice Cooper laying back just a little bit. Again, that might be the experience. I'm sure Hites frustrated. You hear that chirping again?
Yes.
That is somebody who is overdriving a little bit, and that takes a toll on those tires.
So, well, you can see now that Burrows is really trying to escape up the road. He's not being allowed to escape because Benjamin Hites is keeping with him. I think you're absolutely right. I think Cooper McNeil is playing a sensible game here and just letting those two just fight a little bit, and he's preserving what he's got. Of course, Thomas Tipple got passed as well, didn't he? Thomas Tipple got overtaken, so he finds himself down in that P5 position overall at the moment. There you can see the Thomas Tipple car and then the rest of the pack coming through. But, well, big excitement right at the start of the race then with a brilliant move by Martin Burrows, who caught both Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Hites almost napping amongst themselves and said, right, I'm coming through.
Yeah, that was, he just read what was unfolding beautifully. Now, Hites really close up into 17, Sunset Bend as they call it here. Rest of the field streaming through. There goes Tipple. There goes the 17 of Kermani. And he's on the defense a little bit here. Is that Weinberger that I think maybe has gotten around Holden and picked up a spot? Back to the front here in this battle. And Burrows leads lap 1.
And he looks like he's leading it comfortably now.
Yes.
He's built up a lead of some 5/10. Thomas Tipple there ahead of the number 17 car of Armin Kahani then. And
that was Gondor, actually. And the number 24 has gone around Holden and picked up a spot. Holden in the second of the silver cars. That's pole sitter in the Ampless, Kahani.
Yeah, Kahani did a very good job on the opening lap as well, getting himself past Thomas Tipple. And Kahani not able quite to get on the pace of Cooper McNeil and Benjamin Hites and Martin Burrows yet, but may still be able to do that. And Burrows, he's beginning to just eke out a bit of a margin now, isn't he? And Cooper McNeil, when's the fight back going to come? Because he looks off pace, doesn't he?
He does. Well, and the thing is, keep in mind, too, when you have experience, you know this track now is much hotter and the grip quotients are different. You might elect to start with a slightly lower tire pressure because in the heat, if it overpressures too fast, you're going to be slow. Eventually it throws the suspension setup off a little bit, and so he may have underpressured the tires, thinking, I want this car to be coming back to me halfway point of this race because it's hot out there. And these two guys in front, I'm watching them, they are throwing these cars around. That puts a lot of stress on these P0 tires and on the brakes.
Well, Burrows just a couple of corners ago just lost the back end of the car a little bit, and that allowed Benjamin Hites to get ever closer. And you're absolutely right. Both of these drivers throwing absolutely everything at it. It's just why they're building up a big margin of just over a second from the P3 driver, Cooper McNeil. But these two, are they going to pay the price come the middle stages of this race and towards the end of this race? Because they are taking absolutely everything out of these cars. Cooper McNeil just sitting quite comfortably in that P3 position at the moment, and you can see the brake discs really lighting up on the Burrows cars. His braking force was much greater than that of Benjamin Hites, because there was no light coming off the rotors of the Benjamin Hites car.
Well, on that qualifying lap this morning with Hites, he braked. It was a good jab of the brakes a little earlier, a release and onto the throttle sooner. And what that does is, one, it gets your exit speed up, and it also uses up a little bit less brake. Sometimes you brake a little longer, but a little less aggressively, and that works. Now, Cooper McNeil looks like he has made up just a little bit of ground on this duo. Hites, fast lap of the race so far at a 2:07.7. That's a good one. And for Kahani, fastest of the AM cars at a 2:10.1, 2 minutes 10.1.
Well, as you rightly say, Benjamin Hites was marginally quicker than Martin Burrows. We're talking about a margin of 2/1,000.
Exactly.
As tiny as it could be, but nonetheless, the pressure is still there. And I think you're right, the car is coming back to Cooper McNeil now, isn't it? And that gap looks like it's reducing between P1, P2, and then back to Cooper McNeil in P3 currently, but they are breaking away.
They are, and take a look now behind McNeil. When we get a long shot, Tipple has been able to slip back around Kahani, but it took him a while to do that. He's lost a fair chunk of time at this stage, almost 4 seconds to this lead trio.
And that's going to be a very difficult 4 seconds to make up, isn't it, to try and get on the back of these three. There is Thomas Tipple just into the picture there. We're watching Cooper McNeil in the WeatherTech liveried car then, 63 Cooper McNeil then, and looks like we've got almost a back-marking car. John Maycrew, who I thought was slow right at the start of the race. I think the race leaders are going to be on John Maycrew. You can just see him there.
Oh, nice job. He just drove off track to let him
keeps
through.
Completely out of the way. So obviously a issue at the start for John Maycrew, and he did the very gentlemanly thing there, didn't he? He got right out of the way. So Benjamin Hites, you can just sense he's perhaps beginning to get a bit frustrated now behind Martin Burrows. He's trying to track the car now. Surely he's close enough to get a draft on Martin Burrows now as they go into the next turn. Is he going to be close enough? They both carry as much speed as they possibly can. You can see they almost following in entirely identical wheel tracks there, and Martin Burrows got the measure of it. You could see that Benjamin Hites was coming and made sure that he could defend the line. Not that he had to defend too hard, because I don't think Hites was close enough to be able to do anything.
I want to see here what the margin is back to Cooper, and about the same. So these two up front thus far able to continue that margin. And one of the reasons, particularly through turn 17, the reason you might run right in the tire tracks of the guy in front of you is there is a specific line through those bumps that's a little bit less aggressive in terms of the bump level, if you will. And so you might just track the guy there. If you don't get the pass done, you don't get down the inside, then you're just going to track behind him and get through there as fast as you can. Problem there for Hites, as he just dropped his tires at the exit of turn 5, and look at that. That cost you immediately a car length or two. You can't afford to be doing that, because that run out of 5, as Didier Taze said on the onboard lap we saw earlier today, it's a long run from 5 down into the hairpin, and if your exit speed's bad, you're going to either lose to the guy in front of you or be a sitting duck for somebody to attack you into the hairpin from behind.
Tipple has got past Kahani, as you said. Kahani is the leading AM driver now, but he's coming under some pressure from Kahani in a separate class, of course. Then it's Gandour, and then Brent Holden, of course. Joel Weinberger running down there, P6 in class, but P9 in the race overall. There is the number 36 car, the Continental Autosport Silver Machine of Kahani. Chasing down, there is Thomas Tipple, who is, he's very nearly 5 seconds down. A 15-second time penalty on car number 24 for a jump start. Now that is Ziad Gandour, the Boardwalk Ferrari driver.
Yep. Well, we saw that that big car moved very suddenly.
Yes.
And if you do that before you get to the start line, the actual start-finish line, on the original race start. Once the green flag flies on a restart, if there's a caution, track's green, you can race. But on the restart, you can't come out of line nor pass before you get to that start-finish line, and he moved a bit early.
Well, being very impressed with Martin Burrows here, because all the pressure that Benjamin Hites is placing on Martin Burrows, he's not caving to it, is he, at all?
No, not at all. And here's the thing now, with Gondor getting that time penalty, hopefully the Scuderia Cava Ferrari of Newport Beach will be on the radio to the number 14 of Brent Holden. That is third behind Gondor right now in the AM category, saying Gondor is going to be a 15-second penalty. Don't worry about him too much.
Sure.
You know, big picture this now, and just do what you have to do. And right there, you can see Kermani attacking on Kahani. He'd like to get through the yellow Ferrari on that first of the two silver cars. Again, those are two different classes.
And this is, as you pointed out earlier on, you know, you look at the bigger picture, you know, your race is within your class. It's not necessarily the car ahead. And whilst the ego would suggest that if there's a car ahead of you, you've got to try and get past it, sometimes you're better off. Discretion being the better part of valor sometimes.
Absolutely. And up front, just want to point this out. Last lap, Itez setting the fast lap of the race at a 2:07.712. Burrows 2/1000ths of a second slower. These guys are locked in a mano-a-mano battle. And McNeil actually had a 2:07.744. So right in that same window. Everybody else running 2:09s right now. So this lead trio is putting on a bit of a clinic at this stage.
Yes, they're really up the road, aren't they?
Yes.
Relative to everybody else. John McGrew, I think, has stopped running, actually. We saw him as a backmarking car, didn't we? You got right out of the way, and unfortunately, it looks like his race is done and dusted, sadly. So we have the first third of the race done and dusted now, and we're looking at the Thomas Tipple car now, which is running P4 for Scuderia Corsa, Ferrari of Beverly Hills. He's one of those drivers. In fact, he's the first of those drivers to be running in the 209s. The top three, all in the 2077s, as Greg has pointed out. But he is Baker, you know, getting away from Kahani and Kermani and Gandor as well. But it's a huge margin that he's got to try and reel in Cooper McNeil. Here comes Burrows and Hitez once again. Hitez just looking to the outside. You could see the bumps there that you've indicated so many times. And Cooper McNeil, you know, just doesn't seem to have the pace in the car as these two at the moment.
Right now. He doesn't. And interestingly there, you could say Itez actually overran turn 17 just a little bit and floated a little wider, and it cost him a couple of car lengths. I mean, that's the margins these guys are driving right now. So incredibly close at this stage, and the margins between them virtually unchanged. It's been in that 4/10 to half-second range between the two leaders, and then McNeil another second or so back, although he has closed it up now. And I think when Itez overran 17 just a little bit, Cooper got it right. I don't know that the margin between Burrows in the lead and McNeil has changed. I think it's Itez now has dropped off because he just overshot 17 a bit. That's how quick it can change, Dave. Ooh!
He is really pushing that car.
Oh, huge push there for Burrows. Huge push.
I was about to say, whilst these two have been going at it hammer and tong, for all of us saying Cooper doesn't appear to have the pace in the car, he has been super smooth, Greg.
Exactly. He is not throwing it around. You don't hear that real aggressive complaint from the tires when he's working the corners. And as I said, he may well have started with a little lower pressure, and it just takes a little longer for the tires to come up. So the guys at the front, if you start with a little higher pressure, the tire comes in quicker because it's more aggressive, but then you run off that tire as quick. And look at this now. Because of that real bad push that we saw from the leader Burrows in the hairpin, now you can see Itez is all over him. And, boy, Itez is hunting and had such a run, he had to move.
I think you're right. I think you're right. So Cooper's strategy here probably is, I'm going to let those two do all the hard work. I'm going to be super smooth and still be close enough to be able to take advantage of any warring factions that should go on between the two ahead of me. And there is no doubt about it. Itez, he's not close enough, is he, to be able to get a draft off that Martin Burrows car, but he is certainly pushing as hard as he can. And Thomas Tipple and Kahani and Kermani and Gandor and Holden, they're all trying to keep up, but, you know, there is a 2-second deficit almost every lap, isn't there? Yeah,
there is. I mean, these guys up front are kind of in their different times. Holden now, though, just sets fast lap in the AM category. That's first time to go under 210. He's at a 2:09.5. That's a pretty stout lap and impressive. And I was going to say, you know, talking about Cooper, the guy who does most of the coaching with Cooper is Alessandro Balzan, who is an absolutely stellar driver for Scuderia Corsa Ferrari for many, many years. And Balzan is, you know, talking to him saying, don't get rattled. Those guys got you. Let them go. Let them beat on each other a little bit and let it come back to you. And Balzan is the master of patience. We've seen him win championships many, many times by not making mistakes. and he's a very calming influence, and he's also a delightful guy.
Oh, he is a wonderful guy. His pairing with Christina Nielsen, and then his hugely successful years in the Ferrari Challenge, as well as many, many other championships. Cool dude. You're absolutely right. And a very, very good influence, presumably, on Cooper as well, because they really bond, don't they?
Yep, they do indeed, and he's at all the races that Cooper runs in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship and their Scuderia Corsa Ferrari. He's there supporting him and the like as well. So it's a close relationship, and it's that trust in your coach, and they've got it. There is a look at the 14 of Holden, third right now, but will be second with Gondor's penalty at this point. And Holden, by the way, running in the Gentleman's Cup, which means drivers over 54 years of age. Oh, and a big slide there by Itez, and that's going to cost him just a little bit. He is coming after it, and Shea, do the folks in the Scuderia Corsa pit think they've got something for this battle up front?
They've been keeping the ace up the sleeve, Greg. They just gave the order the last time across the start-finish line. Okay, Cooper, it's time to push. He has been saving his tires, waiting for the opportunity for when the two cars ahead of him have already worn theirs out. Cooper is looking to do a little bit of barrel fish shooting, rearrange in whatever order you choose.
Oh, I love it. The gentleman leaning on the back of the chair with the beard there is Alessandro Balzan.
You need a shave, Alessandro.
Yes, exactly. Although it makes him easy to pick out. So, but boy, you could see Itez there when he got into the Le Mans curve, actually coming out of Jean de Bien-Ben. Car really skated on him a little bit. And we talked about it. One that scrubs momentum, and these are all the same car. And so even though they're big horsepower, massive performance cars, there's still momentum relative to the competitors that you're racing with. And when you start to lose that bit of momentum, one, it just costs you time and distance, but also a skate like that heats the surface of those tires, they lose a little bit more grip.
So we could see everyone down there on that pit wall, couldn't we? Including Eric Marston, who's just got out of his Copa Shell car. He, of course, running for the same squad. And Cooper being told now, you can push. And, we've still got a good 14 and a quarter minutes of this race to come. There is time because, Burrows, whilst Itez made a mistake, and that's allowed Burrows to get up the road. Burrows has taken so much out of that car in the early stages.
Big, huge rotation, back end rotating, coming around. That tells you that those Pirelli P0s now have been pushed a little bit too hard. And that was up at turn 10, Cunningham corner. Look at this, Itez, who's so quick through this section. This is where we were so impressed with what he did in qualifying, making the attack. But when Burrows, that car stepped out, look how much closer Cooper is now.
Yeah, he's almost on terms now with him. And so Benjamin Itez, he needs to get past Martin Burrows if he's going to do it, because he needs that cushion of Burrows between himself and Cooper McNeil, who we know is going to come on strong towards the end of the race. Shea has already found that out for us, so he needs to get this job done.
Tip of the hat, by the way, to Kahani, 5th overall leading in AM, just set a 2-minute 8.574 fast lap as he's opening that margin up and being very careful with that. Tipple in the background there. Then there's Kahani, and you can see he's stretched now over Kermani. And here we go into 17. You can see that little bit different line there. Again by Itez.
Both of them running very out close to the wall. And Cooper just quietly letting them go about their business and take yet more out of their cars, whilst his being super smooth, and he's almost like a viper in third, isn't he? Just waiting to pounce.
Yeah, he is. I would have thought that he had an opportunity to be a little bit closer, but he didn't get through either Le Mans curve onto the back straight, onto the Ullman straight, or through 17 quite as well. And at the line, again, the margins between first, second, and third were about the same.
Okay.
So he lost a little something here. And here's Kahani, who set that lap. But I'll tell you what, Amir Kermani in that yellow car, who's running 5th in the Trofeo Pirelli. Get that one right. Pirelli Trofeo. There we go. Is doing everything he can to stay with Kahani, because if he can run with him, he's got a big gap back to Weinberger and Ross West, who would be the next closest competitors, and they're back a ways.
And in fairness for Kahani, it's actually playing into his hands as he leads the AM class. Of course, he's got that cushion of Kermani between him and Gandor.
Yes.
Gandor being the next of the AM drivers. The 1, 2, 3 in the AMs. Kahani, Gandor, and Holden. The 1, 2, 3 in the pros, of course, it is Burrows, Itez, and McNeil.
And you look at Gandour, and you just look at the margin back to Holden, and right now it is about 2 seconds. Well, Gandour has that 15-second penalty coming up that he'll get. So again, Holden essentially is running in the second spot.
Yes.
The bigger story is where's Chris Carell, and his margin, boy, it's on that borderline of that 15 seconds. So Carell needs to pick the pace up here because he might still get a podium out of this, even with a fourth-place finish on track. And I'm sure his crew from Scuderia Corsa and Ferrari Silicon Valley is on the radio with him going, get in there and finish. So, and that will be a penalty at the end of the race. End of the race, it'll be assessed. So that's why I'm saying if Carell can get up there and finish within 15 seconds of Gandour, he will actually get that position. So go back to this fascinating race at the lead. Wait, Cooper looks like he's actually dropped off just a little bit.
I agree with you.
What's the margin here? And yes, he lost 0.7 of a second on that lap. It was 1.5 back at from Itez in that previous lap. It's 2.2 right now, and maybe there's just nothing. Maybe he's got nothing left to push with, and it could be they just they maybe missed a little bit on that setup. Oh, the big loose moment by Burrows, and there goes Itez as Burrows can't hang on to it, swings around.
Well, good avoidance by Cooper, which of course has put him into P2. Burrows needs to get that car going once again. He pulls out right in front of Thomas Tipple here. Thomas Tipple is able to take advantage. He goes through as well. So Burrows then, and here we can see it in replay.
Yeah, just the rears, no grip left. Itez able to cut through to the inside, and a nice move by Cooper to judge it just enough and clear as Burrows was backing up just a little bit. You can hear Burrows, we go back to that shot right now, live through the hairpin, you can hear those tires just screaming in protest. They're pretty used up right now.
They're virtually on the rims now.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's be truthful. With 9.5 minutes left to run, well, Benjamin Hitez, that just played into his hands, didn't it? And can Cooper now? Well, look at the margin between Benjamin Hitez and Cooper McNeil.
Well, Cooper obviously had to check up big time, choose a lane around, and so that has given Itez a very, very sizable pad. And now what he needs to do is not push quite as hard, keep your speed up, but not push as hard. Let those tires come back a little bit.
Okay.
That's he's got to preserve a little bit now because he pushed him hard.
Yeah.
And hard enough that he pushed Burrows into a mistake.
Yes, absolutely.
So, that's.
So there you can see the 1, 2, 3 now. Benjamin Hitez, then it's Cooper McNeil, then it is Thomas Tipple then. So this man leading the race then, Martin Burrows having gone around, and that means that this man leads. Benjamin Hitez, has to be said, from the green. He had been chased Martin Burrows. Credit to Burrows, he'd held on and just made that, just losing out. And I'm sure you're right, Greg. I'm sure that's the pressure that, and it's been relentless pressure from Benjamin Hitez, hasn't it, on the car of and the driver Martin Burrows.
He did a brilliant job to read what those two up in the front row were doing in turn one and snuck through. But then he had that, just heaped pressure from Hitez. He did the best he possibly could, but he just, at a certain point, those tires pushed them beyond their limit, and eventually they're going to let you know. And he had a couple of moments where he got loose and was able to save it. That time in turn 5, just wasn't quick enough to be able to make that happen.
So just under 8 minutes remaining. Benjamin Hitez had some 2.6 seconds over Cooper McNeil when they crossed the timing line at start-finish. And so for the moment, he's got a reasonable, comfortable margin between himself and Cooper McNeil. But that's not to say that he can afford to relax. Of course, he can't. But Thomas Tipple has been gifted into that P3 place. But he's some 5 seconds down on Cooper McNeil as well. So such as the pace that Hitez, McNeil, and, of course, Burrows had delivered in the first 2/3 of the race.
And just tracking this a little bit, Carell now is within 9 seconds of Gandour, and Zeckelman is within 10. So both of them have an opportunity actually to move up a spot post-race when that penalty is assessed. Here's a look at Cooper, and it just doesn't look like there's much left there. And I wonder if they just maybe missed a little bit on the setup at this stage.
Well, it's possible, isn't it?
Yep. Here's a look at Kahani. Great run in that Concours Club.
consistently lap after lap
Yeah.
after lap, he's been good, hasn't he?
Yeah, good and consistently quick. I mean, he's got fast lap in the class. Remember, that's a point.
Yes.
And that's important. But he's just been able to click off this quality of lap here with regularity. That's impressive.
So cars all spread out quite a bit now as we continue to watch Kahani here then leading in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class in that number 36 car. Benjamin Hites, of course, leading against Cooper McNeil and has just opened up a bit more of a margin over Cooper McNeil as well.
Yes,
So,
he has.
Hites has obviously still got the pace in his car, and either that or Cooper, as you have quite rightly said, whether they're just struggling with the setup of that car, it's just not been right from the very, very off.
Well, and that sometimes, you have experience, and so we have to adjust something. But then maybe you make the adjustment, and you just go a little bit too much the wrong way, and the car just never comes back to you like you expect it to. I mean, it happens.
And we are talking about something like half a turn on a nut in one direction can be
minuscule.
enough, can't it?
Yeah. There's so many variables that go into something like this. This is a fun one to watch, isn't it? Now that's Burrows. You can see he's just struggling everywhere.
Yeah.
And Kermani, now this is a battle for the fourth spot. This is
Kermani's
a class
looking lively.
position. Yes, he is.
So we know that Martin Burrows is already suffering from, I should think, a complete lack of grip, both the back and front end of this car. And, Kahani.
Very late move. That wasn't on.
Can he keep it from pointing in the right direction and not lose out?
Nice save.
Of course, he's got 3 AM cars behind him ahead of Joel Weinberger, and that's really what saved him, isn't it?
It is, and there is Kahani. Another look at it here. And Burrows is struggling, and he's struggling to get to the apex, but Kermani, that was just too late.
Yeah.
And, we talked about you've got to present. You've got to, let the car know you're there, and that was too late. Burrows, at that point, his eyes were nowhere near his mirrors. He's looking through the corner.
Yeah.
And that was inevitable, really.
Well, that has probably saved it for Burrows, hasn't it,
Yes.
in truth?
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. Well, his tires are dirtied up now. It's so hot, and you run off track like that, and you get all that sand on those tires, and probably some clag and marbles and the like. It takes a while to clean them off. Oh, look at those brakes. Boy, he is hard on the brakes. Just love watching this through this section of track because of the bumps. And everybody, you've just got to deal with them. They're there. Figure out a way to go fast through them. Hope the team has given you a setup that's compliant so you can really push.
He's still throwing that around, isn't he?
Is.
Despite the fact that we think that he must be out of rubber by now. He is still throwing everything at it and still consistently quick as well.
Interesting to see here. If he tiptoes a little bit, we changed shot just to see if he was tiptoeing a little bit more through turn 5. And there now is Hites. And last time McNeil, when they came by, we were watching some of the other battles. That margin up to over 4 seconds now. So clearly,
I think
Cooper just doesn't have the weapon today.
No, and I think what he's doing now is focusing on managing P2.
Yep.
Because he's keeping himself 3 seconds ahead of Thomas Tipple, and Thomas will be trying very, very hard. But in fairness, Cooper is still in the 207s. Thomas is in the 208s, although only just in the 208s. But there.
I was going to say, I'm sorry, this is interesting here. Just doing some quick math.
Yeah.
Cooper came in with a 4-point lead on Hites. And Burrows is off. Yep. Well, maybe there was something that he came off and grazed a wall or something. But the other thought here is that with that, maybe something something broke in the back of the car,
possible.
And it went viciously loose on him, and he's just been hanging on to it. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah.
What I was going to say was right now, Hites leading over Cooper plus fast lap, 5-point swing between first and second, plus a point for that fast lap, plus a point for pole.
Yeah.
He could have a 3-point lead over Cooper coming in here. In the last couple of years, that doesn't happen often.
No. Ooh, and that going around.
Kermani.
Yes, it is. Oh.
Well, he's been racy, hasn't he?
All the drama is coming right in the final stages of this race, and as he tries to put the car pointing back in the right direction. Good avoidance by everybody else.
Yeah, that's Carell. Carell coming after him, and he just all by himself.
Yep.
And that's the thing. These cars have traction control, they have ABS, but they aren't, a panacea. They don't, solve everything. And if you're just, traction control is forward drive. It'll stop the wheel from spinning. But if you're exceeding the grip level of the tire laterally, traction control doesn't help you at all. In fact, it can kick you into a spin when it kicks in just a little bit. And so sometimes that's what they may be fighting here late in this race, because the track's greasy, the tires have been pushed to the limit. And talk about pushing the limit. One thing that is pretty impressive about Hitez is we've seen him. We know these tires have been pretty used up. This young man's got amazing car control.
Yes. And he's maintained that margin between himself and Cooper, isn't it? It'll be really, really interesting to find out whether why Cooper has not been able to respond with pace, because he certainly hasn't been able to. And Hitez in that number 33 car, as you say, can really, really classy car control, given the fact that he will have taken so much out of that car. So Gandor then and Kahani are together here. So Neil Kahani then in the Continental Autosport Silver, number 36 car, running in the Trofeo Pirelli AM class and leading that.
Ooh, big wiggle. And you could hear he picked the throttle up late, and it was because he got into that turn a little hot. He had to wait, and then when he went to the throttle, he was still on the edge, and the car gave that little bit of a snap. And Kahani now knows, all right, change that approach just a little bit here. And I think Hitez is going to go through start finish before the clock expires.
So we're going to get another lap.
Get another lap, yeah. Have to see. He should be over there. Oh, it's awfully close. Yep.
It's another lap to be done.
One more lap. And look at Tipple coming after McNeil.
That
is incredibly close.
All of a sudden.
Yes. Tipple has really found a bit of speed as Cooper is losing it.
So we think P1. Ooh, as Benjamin Hitez then really struggles to hold on to that car. Cooper McNeil now realizes that he's got Thomas Tipple in his rearview mirror, and all of a sudden his P2 is under threat in the Trofeo Pirelli Pro class. Tipple, of course, will have sensed the opportunity that he's got the remainder of this lap to try and unsettle Cooper McNeil ahead of him.
And Hitez had that big loose moment, and if you noticed, Cooper, as he turned into turn 3, he couldn't get down to the apex. The front was not responding the way he wanted, and Tipple now senses opportunity. And maybe for Tipple, I mean, he would have liked to have been able to do this sooner.
Yeah.
But one thing we've seen when he got trapped a little bit, he didn't overdrive the car. He just kept his pace alive. And now he has opportunity on this last lap to maybe get to the second step of the box.
So where on this track is going to be his best opportunity, would you suggest, Greg?
Well, that's interesting here because they're through turn 10, and they're making their way now. This is up, so 13 would be a good opportunity, and he's not close enough. That's right here. Possibly, if he gets a great run through Bishop Bend, he could surprise him into Jean de Bienne, which will be the next tight right-hander. Other than that, it'll be 17.
Right.
And he's not close enough here. So he may need a mistake from Cooper. You saw Cooper hit the back end, stepped out just a little bit there as well. So this is huge. Right here, Tipple has got to get a great drive. Hopes Cooper has a little bit of a bobble, and Cooper, nope, nice and crisp there.
So as they run down the Ullman Straight then, you can see Benjamin Hitez leading. And we'll pick up the lead car now. Here it comes then. Benjamin Hitez has done enough, and he is going to seal the deal and take the checkered flag. It's going to be a fight for P2, but we think Cooper is just going to be able to hold on to it here. And sure enough, Benjamin Hitez takes P1. Cooper just takes P2. Thomas Tipple trying to chase him all the way to the line, and just over the final few hundred meters of the lap, Tipple really had come on strong, and Cooper obviously struggling with that car. Neil Kahani is going to take the win for the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. Now, Gandor has crossed the line, but bear in mind that there are some penalties going to be applied at the end of the race. But well done to Neil Kahani, Joel Weinberger, then it's Brent Holden, Chris Carell, and Barry Zeckelman. Well, if you or I had made our predictions for this race, I think we would have been wrong, probably, wouldn't we?
Yes. I will fall on that sword with you, my friend. But boy, was it an entertaining one. That battle. I mean, just the pressure that he has put on Burrows, and amazing start by Burrows to be able to get up front and then survive pressure for as long as he did. But the big surprise to me is Cooper. The team said, "Okay, go get him." And he gave it for a lap. He closed it up a little bit, didn't he? And then he started to fade just a little bit once again. So they obviously just missed a little bit. And that means that now for Ita's second win of the season. And like I said, my math, it's sketchy. It may be illegal for me to do math in a few states for all I know. But I think he's got the points lead.
You may well be right. You may well be right. We have seen, I think it's fair to say, some real class from Hites, who the car was not there at the end of the race, but he was able to hold on to it. Greg, here are the highlights.
Yep, absolutely. And watch the battle here for those two lead cars. And down to the inside, Burrows, that red car with the white nose, gets to the inside of Cooper. Cooper realizes, oh no, where did he come from? Hites looking there, and suddenly Burrows appears along the inside there. And you know that Hites was going, well, that car's not white. And Burrows, absolutely brilliant start. And then Cooper trying to just stay with him and pushing. And you can see up front, Cooper there really on it through turn one, doing everything he can. And or he could at that point, but trying to do it smoothly to conserve those tires. As he was up on the curves, but the car was never sideways. And then this moment, Burrows snaps around. Hites goes through for the lead. But in the avoidance move right there, Cooper had to run wide, and that allowed a resurgent Thomas Tipple to come after him with a vengeance on that last lap. And Cooper had just enough left in the quiver here to be able to hang on, although Tipple did indeed just heap on the pressure. But up front at that point, Hites, even with a little bit of a moment on the second of the last lap, was able to hang on to it and come through, get his second win of the season. Cooper just hanging on to second over a Tipple, who I think learned a lot in this race. It's going to be fun to see what Tipple can do tomorrow. And, of course, then it was Kahani with the big win in the AM category once again. And you see the guy behind him, Gondor, is going to have a bit of a penalty as a result. And so, obviously, things are going to be shaken up in the AM class behind Kahani as a result of that penalty. We'll suss that out a little bit more for you. But all in all, pretty fascinating race.
Yeah, it was. And it didn't go the way we expected it to, that is for sure. Here, confirmation of the top three then. Benjamin Hites taking the win from Cooper McNeil and Thomas Tipple, P2 and P3, Trofeo Pirelli Pro. And in the AMs, Neil Kahani, Brent Holden, and Ziad Gandor, the 1, 2, 3 in the AM classification. So, wow, what a race. Trofeo Pirelli then in the searing heat here in Sebring. And congratulations to Benjamin Hites, and looking very strong this season so far.
Yeah, boy, he is. Second win in 3 races, and fighting, I believe, in the other race, a strong second place. So he's doing well. Just wanted to point out, they immediately applied that penalty. Gondor did exactly what he needed to do. Holden was too close.
Yes.
So Holden will finish second, but Gondor, in the last few laps, David, opened up enough of a lead that even with the penalty, he pushed Carell and Zeckelman out of the podium contention. Great job responding by Zhog. Zhog is the name. So well done there as we see these drivers down into the podium area.
Yes, and it was very interesting. I just caught off shot Cooper McNeil and Thomas Tipple having a real hug together. And here the Chilean driver then, Benjamin Hites. Which way is up? Here.
There we go. I love it. I love it. Ferrari Challenge, truly international sports car championship, attracting people from around the globe. And there's Thomas Tipple coming over, who did a great job late in that race. One for the podium, 2 almost to sneak by and take the second spot.
I think I was saying to you earlier on, Greg, that Thomas and I shared a glass of lemonade or two in an airport lounge recently, and Thomas was bemoaning the fact that he'd been elevated so high up and straight into the Trofeo Pirelli Pro class. But I'll tell you what, his race pace would suggest. That was no mistake.
No, he belongs. He belongs. And as we said, boy, once he figures out, and I think today he may have learned a real lesson in racecraft.
I think you're right.
And I think tomorrow's races, it'll be fun to see, because I think he really learned something today, and his speed is unquestionable.
Oh, sure.
And once he dials that racecraft in, oh boy.
One to watch, that's for sure.
So.
So there we are then. Ites, McNeil, and Tipple. Then Kahani, Holden, and Gandor. Gandor just getting the better of Carell and Zeckelman following that penalty that was applied to him.
He dug deep late.
He did.
In those last two laps to clear that margin. So well done.
No, did a good job. Did a very, very good job indeed. And very impressive with Benjamin Hites then being able to hold on to that with a car which clearly was not at its best towards the end of the race. Clearly, he had pushed and pushed and pushed for the entire race duration.
It was interesting. I mean, he had the mission, obviously, it was hound Burrows, make him use up his tires, make a mistake, whatever, and he did that, but in so doing, used up his car a lot as well. And I think had Cooper, had he had a little bit better setup on the car, we're guessing. I mean, we're just speculating, but he just didn't have what he needed after it looked like he had been very, very smart about preserving tires. Well, maybe some of the answers will unfold down in Victory Circle. Shea is with our winner.
Benjamin Hites, you really had to work for that win. You got out of the car, poured a water bottle over yourself. It was hard work out there, but does victory feel even better than at COTA?
Yeah, it feels better. It was a long race with too much temperature, so the weather was for that. So I'm really happy about that, and we are now, I think, leading the championship, so let's hope we keep like this weekend.
Had the track changed a lot from qualifying? Was it a lot different?
Yeah, there was much heat, so when braking was a little bit more oversteer, and in the fast corners also. So you need to drive more carefully, but overall it was good, the car, I think.
What they said to you on the pit wall, fast and clean, and that's exactly what you did. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, and I mean, a sweep here, wasn't it, David? A pole, a win, and a fast lap, and that's what you need to do when you're racing a guy like Cooper McNeil.
Pretty much so.
Yeah.
Here then, confirmation of the classification then. Benjamin Hites taken the win from Cooper McNeil, Thomas Tipple, then Weinberger, Schwest, Muso, Rubo, Kahani, Martin Burrows then ending up P9. Valiant effort, of course, but just in the end the car got away from him.
Yeah, not exactly sure what happened when we suddenly saw him by the side of the track. Didn't look like he had any kind of contact. I wonder if he maybe had some issue in the back of the car that was making it have that snap oversteer, which he saved a few times, then spun it in 5. And maybe there was something that at the end just let go finally, and he said, yeah, I can't continue like this, and pulled it over. It's a shame, of course, came in third in the points after a pair of thirds at Circuit of the Americas, and now, essentially, he got enough laps in, he will be classified, and he'll get points for 9th, but it's only 2, and boy, that's going to be a big hit in those points.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. So there we are, and Kahani, Holden, and Gandor, the 1, 2, 3 in the Trofeo Pirelli AM classification here in the Drivers' Championship for Trofeo Pirelli Pro. Your maths work was absolutely right. Benjamin Hites now leading by 3 points over Cooper McNeil. They are on 59 and 56 respectively, with Thomas Tipple on 32, and of course Martin Burrows down to P4 with 28 points.
Well, my math teacher from high school is looking down at me with a
Proud
big grin
you.
on his face going, I'll be darned, he did listen. So, all right, well, now let's get down and hear from our winner in the AM category. You put in a beautiful drive, Shea.
Good to see you, too. Neil Kahani, race winner now at Sebring International Raceway. What do those words mean?
Incredible day, really amazing. The car was dialed in thanks to HP Tech. Really an amazing ride today.
And having a pretty good coach on your side, too, doesn't hurt?
Yeah, Robert and Ilio gave me some words of wisdom, too, which really paid off in turn 1, so it was great. Really good.
Was it keep it out of the wall, the words of wisdom?
Pretty much. Go like hell, basically, something like that. So it was great.
One race down, one more to go tomorrow. What did you learn today that's going to help you get another win tomorrow?
Got to save the tires. It's really important, especially late in the afternoon. The tires get greasy pretty quickly, so it was pretty incredible.
Neil, congratulations. Enjoy the celebration.
Thank you very much, Shea. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, and after coming out of Circuit of the Americas, David, with 1 point, didn't get anything for a finish, ended up not classified in the first race, unfortunately, and ended up with the 1 point. Now he jumps up significantly, and he will become, I think, if he can keep this kind of pace and he runs a lot of races, he's gonna be somebody that has some real championship potential here as we take a look at the results.
So confirmation of the classification for the AMs then. Neil Kahani, Brent Holden and Ziad Gandor ahead of Carell, Zeckelman, Marici, Musial and John McGrew, who we saw down and long way down, finishing in P8. So there we have it. Of course, all the classification, the current point situation, everything will all be up at races.ferrari.com. We urge you to keep your eyes on that website for everything to do with the Ferrari Challenge here in North America. And in the Teams Championship then, Ziad Gandor ahead of Barry Zeckelman and Todd Marici, 48, 35, 34.
Yeah, Zeckelman has been really consistent with his finishes. A second and a fourth Circuit of the Americas. Here he comes home with a fifth in the AM category. He's just accruing points, and that's going to put him in good stead. And again, Ziad Gandor, after he knew he was going to get that penalty, he really did a brilliant job of picking his pace up to make sure he minimized as much of that deficit as he could, and it paid off. He got a podium.
And that was very clever reaction, wasn't it, from the teams and communicating with their driver as well. This is what you've got to do to enable you to seize this and to get this out of it. And absolutely critical. He drove that really well over the end, didn't he?
He did. And you know what? Every once in a while you're going to make a mistake, and the general consensus is it's the people that react best to that are the ones that at the end of a season are always going to be in championship contention, and that was a great reaction by the team and by him behind the wheel.
Very good shot here of everyone assembling around the podium for the podium ceremonies, which will be coming up in a while. Don't forget to join us for Copa qualifying 2 tomorrow at 9:40. We've had a successful afternoon, I think, sir.
We have indeed. A couple of really stout races following some really good qualifying. And what I love about the format here, it's rinse and repeat. We get to do it again tomorrow. And the conditions weather-wise are supposed to be very similar. Cool in the morning, fast qualifying, challenging track in the heat and humidity of the afternoon.
From Greg and myself, bye-bye for now.